Hamilton finally speaks openly and reveals what he truly discovered upon arriving at Ferrari. However, the reality is quite different from what anyone could have imagined. While everyone was waiting for statements about speed, tactics, or internal conflicts, the seven-time world champion surprised everyone by revealing a completely different situation about his new environment. But before we reveal these shocking revelations, stay tuned because Hamilton also made a bold request that could completely transform Formula One. It is a demand so controversial that it shakes up million-dollar deals, command structures, and even the way competitors manage their careers. The 2025 championship began with one of the most anticipated changes in the recent history of the top category of motorsport. Lewis Hamilton, after a decade and 2 years defending the colors of Mercedes and winning 6 of his 7 world championships for the German team, chose to accept the most irresistible call in motorsport, to wear the red of Ferrari. Expectations were huge. The 40-year-old Englishman arrived in Maranello carrying the responsibility of being recognized as one of the greatest competitors in history, on par with legends such as Michael Schumacher. However, the facts have been quite different from what everyone predicted. After 14 races, Hamilton is only 6th in the standings with 109 points, 42 points behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. Leclerc, whom everyone recognized as fast, is clearly controlling the internal duel and has already won the podium 5 times, while Hamilton has only won the sprint race in China and a sprint podium in Miami. For a driver accustomed to fighting for titles, these numbers are disappointing, to say the least. And it was precisely this disappointment that led Hamilton to make surprising public statements during the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend, where he went so far as to publicly criticize himself for his own shortcomings. However, this is where the first twist in this narrative emerges. In recent conversations with the press, Hamilton revealed something that no one expected to hear. When asked about his first months with the Italian team, the Briton did not mention difficulties in acclimatizing to the car or configuration issues. Not at all. Hamilton stated that Ferrari does not meet his expectations in any way. And do you know why? Because the intensity of the Italian team exceeded all his predictions. "I never expected it to be like this. It's more intense in so many ways," Hamilton confessed to the Belgian media. "I didn't imagine that the team at the factory would be so extraordinary. I expected energy, but this is even more intense than I thought." This revelation raises a fascinating question. If Ferrari is being more extraordinary than Hamilton anticipated, why are the results on the track not matching up? The explanation may lie precisely in the intensity mentioned by the competitor. Hamilton acknowledged that he still needs to pinch himself to believe he is driving for Ferrari, revealing that during a recent photo shoot he couldn't stop smiling. "I love being in red. I look at the symbol and think, incredible. It's Ferrari. I can't believe it." This genuine passion for the Italian brand may be working both as motivation and as extra pressure for someone who already carries the weight of 7 world championships. But Hamilton doesn't stop there. The British driver is using his influence for something much greater than racing victories. In recent statements, Hamilton has unveiled an ambition that transcends the racetrack. He wants to completely revolutionize the Formula One contract system. And this is no small battle. Hamilton is challenging a structure that has existed in the sport for decades. Drivers are restricted by contracts that prevent them from talking to other teams. They can't even talk to other teams, Hamilton said. The 7-time world champion's criticism touches on a sensitive aspect of the top-flight sport. While revenues have skyrocketed from $700 million to over $3 billion, Hamilton argues that employee salaries have not kept pace with this exponential growth. It's a damning accusation, especially coming from someone who is among the highest-paid drivers on the grid. But Hamilton goes beyond financial issues. He is questioning the very power structure of Formula One. There is still a significant lack of diversity in the paddock, and many things still need to change in our sport, Hamilton said. The driver is positioning himself as the leader of a new generation of change, comparing his current role to that of drivers such as Niki Lauda, who fought for safety in the past. But while Lauda fought to preserve lives, Hamilton is fighting to democratize opportunities and transform Formula One into something more inclusive and sustainable. And here lies the most controversial aspect of this whole situation. Hamilton isn't just talking, he's taking action. The Briton has revealed that he uses his privileged position to get into the right rooms and have difficult conversations with world leaders, including prime ministers and presidents. When criticized by some people who say "shut up and drive," Hamilton responds categorically, "That's not me. I drive, yes, but I also do more." This stance raises interesting questions about the future of Formula One. Hamilton is clearly using his platform to push for systemic change, from driver contracts to environmental sustainability. He has criticized food waste on race weekends while people go hungry around the world, advocated for more efficient recycling systems, and questioned the environmental impact of the sport when it visits different countries. But is this activist agenda influencing his performance on the track? It is impossible to ignore that Hamilton is experiencing one of his worst seasons in years, consistently outperformed by Leclerc. Some critics may argue that the driver is more focused on social causes than on getting the most out of the red car. On the other hand, Hamilton's defenders will say that a driver of his stature can perfectly reconcile sporting excellence with social responsibility. What is clear is that Hamilton has no intention of changing. At 40, he seems to have found a purpose that goes beyond winning his 8th world title. He wants to leave a legacy of real transformation in Formula One. It's not about being perfect, but about making progress every year, the Briton philosophized. And that mindset may be just what Formula One needs to reinvent itself in an era where social responsibility and sustainability are increasingly important. The big question that remains is, will Hamilton be able to balance his transformative ambitions with the need to deliver results on the track for Ferrari? Italian fans are not known for their infinite patience, and the results so far are far from ideal. On the other hand, perhaps this is exactly the revolution that Formula One needs, a world champion using his platform to question the status quo and force changes that benefit the entire category. One thing is certain. Lewis Hamilton is not just trying to adapt to Ferrari. He is trying to force the entire Formula One to adapt to a new reality. And regardless of how this season ends for him, this fight for structural change could be the most lasting legacy of his career. After all, world titles are won, celebrated, and eventually surpassed. But social and structural transformations can last for generations. What do you think? Is Hamilton right to use his influence to force these changes in Formula One, or should he focus exclusively on improving his performance on the track? Leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news from the world of Formula One. See you next time.